Last one, but not least. The shortest, apparently. So, LMH for the friends. Are we all friends?
You're all friends.
LMH for the friends. Welcome.
This is a common position for me, sitting in between two.
Is it?
Two Belgian men.
Glen, Sven.
Yeah.
It's not Team Joris.
No, it's not.
Shit, you have to choose one. Team of Joris.
Which one are you?
Choose.
Tim.
Football.
Joris.
Yeah. Okay.
Tim, you're it. So before you ask me a question,
Yes.
because I do like to control some of these situations.
There had to be one, Sven. There had to be one.
Lucky I was last, and didn't put you off at the start.
You see the counter going, eh?
Yeah. Okay. We'll just pause that.
Yeah.
No. So before we get started, and I hope this translates well, yes, we are interested in acquiring, and we are thinking about Visma and Exact.
Thank you for the scoop. Yeah, thank you.
That's your scoop.
We
and
have a scoop.
I'll have a conversation with the guys after.
Okay, good.
And I need the water because I'm not hungover from my party, which I thought you were going to ask me about. I actually picked up I did. So,
True. Birthday.
birthday party, yeah. Not a big one. But I went to Denmark and I got a very bad cold.
Okay.
Yeah. So apologies for the coughing earlier, everyone. It was not the food or the drink. It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take a sip now.
Right, go.
Start coughing.
Sorry, we're starting now.
Yeah, I would make some kind of. But Sven, maybe you have to put something straight right now.
Yeah. I have to apologize again because the first time that we met, I thought you were Australian. You're a proud Kiwi. Kiwi is from New Zealand.
Not the fruit.
Yeah, so if you talk to Lisa later this afternoon, don't make that mistake.
No.
Because otherwise it was a very awkward moment.
She's just here because I asked Sven.
Yeah,
We've been in recovery process since that moment. And
you see also the distance, you're sitting shorter there than to my end. But okay, let's get things going.
The Kiwi in Belgium who lives in Bristol.
Exactly, because you came like 10 months ago. You became actually the new CEO of Silverfin. Still, congratulations, I would say. But you came to Silverfin with like a broad international experience in growing SaaS companies. We already addressed that you're a Kiwi. Now you're sitting here in Belgium. So I would like to talk about your international views on that one later. But the question that we would like to start with is technology. A lot is changing, so the impact on professional services in a more broader sense. So what are your views on that one?
Well, so in my travels around the place, speaking with accountants globally, as well as we talked earlier about ecosystems, so it's important for us to also work closely with other technology providers. There's probably three things I'm seeing, key themes. The first would be technology and people working together. How do we bridge that? How do we make sure that the people that we don't lose that human aspect, and that when we leverage technology in our business, how do we make sure it's still people first? The second thing I'm noticing is speed. Everybody's after pace. Whether you're a big business or a small business, everybody's thinking about how can we be more effective with the time we have. And for most people, that means how can we move faster, but also how can we move faster to experiment with things and then decide that that's not a go and then move on to the next thing. So it's pace of decision making and it's pace of execution. And the third thing I think I would see around more often than not is this idea of the global landscape. Is it going to be an opportunity or is it going to be a threat? So you hear firms saying, the fact that I can now hire people from anywhere, that's an opportunity because I was having problems with resourcing and retention of staff, and now my resource pool is broader. And then you hear people saying, but that's a huge threat for me because now I'm competing against people who I used to be able to eyeball who I knew my competitors were. I knew who my TAM was and I knew who my competitive threats were, and now I have no idea because now it could be people operating from a different market, a different space, a different vertical, different industry. And so we hear people saying, this idea of thinking globally or thinking broader than just the space you're in. How do we harness that thinking in our business and recognize both its strengths and its threats? So those would be the three things I see globally.
Okay. But then if you think globally, let's say within Europe, there's a more conservative view on tech. If you read the newspaper or you hear what the European Commission say, it's all about tech, fines and taxes. That's a very common 3 words in one sentence. You are not European. You've been working in Europe now.
Yep.
So,
New Zealand.
I know. Thank you for that. But how do you see with that view on Europe and how we treat technology?
So I will say, from being predominantly from markets outside of Europe, that's my experience base, I used to think that Europe was one market, and that could be just an ignorance thing. What I have learned is, and we talked earlier today, some other speakers said, there's a lot that's in common and there's a lot that's not in common. But I think the thing you think about most is it's not one market, it's many, many markets. And what I think the European markets do well, and I encourage at Silverfin, but I also think all businesses up in this part of the world should think about, is that's a strength. That if you think about the environment you've grown up in, where you've got very close neighbours, lots of language, lots of cultural nuances, I think whether you realise it or not, you have learnt how to collaborate almost instinctively and naturally. I spoke to somebody in the break. I spent some time early in my career in North America and Canada, and I did actually meet people who didn't hold a passport, never felt the need to hold a passport to travel outside of the borders of their country. I also coincidentally met people who'd never seen the sea in real life, because if you live in the middle of America, you also potentially say, well, no need for me to go to the ocean, I'm fine. So I think as a person who's come to Europe, I would say to European businesses, there are strengths in the connectivity and the collaboration you've kind of grown up with and had to make as part of your world, and you might not realise that as a strength because you take it for granted. Mm-hmm. But in a global context, that is definitely not something everybody has. I do also see in Belgium, and hopefully it doesn't come across too critical, but there is a lot of bureaucracy that comes from the way things have been in Belgium. And I think the challenge is to figure out what do you need to keep and what do you need to get rid of to go forward. Because even, again, in your business, I find there's a comfort with that. You've grown up with a comfort with that bureaucracy. So the businesses I work with, I see a similar comfort with that. And I would sort of say, if the first one is a strength, the second one is a bit of a weakness, and you should probably get rid of it as quickly as you can. But you possibly don't even realise that that's something you're doing in your business, because it was kind of the framework you grew up with.
But speaking of a framework, speaking of comfort, you mentioned people first. One thing that we hear a lot about from accountancy firms is, yeah, we want to adopt software, but or people are against it, or the client is against it. They're the two main excuses that I hear. You came to a new company as a new person. I don't know, I will ask the people of Silverfin later how big the change is with you there or not, but people are, per definition, against change. Are there any tricks, are there any key takeaways for the people that are over here?
Yeah. I think if change was easy, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about how do you make change easy. We're all humans and change is difficult. I think in our industry, technology, we're very lucky because we know that we have to change all the time and evolve, because there's a phrase, today's innovation is yesterday's old news, like it just goes so fast. You cannot get attached to the things that you've put all your heart and soul into, because by next week, next month, next year, that's table stakes and you need to be moving along. What I will say is purpose is quite crucial, especially in this thing about people adapting to technology and change. To me, purpose is everything. The why behind why we're doing things is, I would say, 10 times more important than the what we're doing. And you need for people to understand the journey they're on and why the change is required. What's the outcome we're aiming for? The purpose and the vision for where you're trying to get to, and getting people bought into that story is 10 times more important than actually how good you are at change management. And apologies to all the project management folk in the room, because I've probably just destroyed all of your principles of good change management just there. But it's definitely get people bought into the purpose and the reason and the story. And, lucky for people like me who like to talk a lot, storytelling is now storytelling's now the new, super competence. It's a super strength, isn't it? Like, I'm a great storyteller. I can be the CEO of a fantastic Belgian business. Pretty soon they'll figure out that's all I can do. But until then, we are on a fantastic journey. I hope those laughs there are from the Silverfin folk and not our many customers in the room. But yeah.
I read bedtime stories, so maybe there's a big future for me as well.
But if you say that the why and the purpose is like the most important thing, more important than the actual change management, I mean, but figuring out your purpose and your why, it's far more difficult than figuring out the change management. Any help there? Well, how did you find yours?
Well, read the Sinek book. I mean, I'm not here on a commission for Simon Sinek, but there is some good literature out there on really understanding what is purpose, frameworks for getting there. How did I find mine? Oh gosh, no, how long have we got? Not long enough. I think those of us who are in technology, I think we have we're in a privileged spot, right? We get very smart people working alongside us. We attract people into this industry who are constantly challenging everything about tech. And I think, therefore, as a result, the environment of challenging and really getting to the bottom of, the why is almost instinctive. It's something that helps technology folk keep learning, being open to the possibility. So I think that's an advantage. If you're in technology, there's a lot of why asking that goes on. I think I would encourage all businesses to actually take the time to sit down and think about where do they want to be in 3 years' time. What does that future look like? Some of the Silverfin folk laugh at me sometimes because we do this exercise and I say, put your hands over your eyes and everybody just visualize the outcome. And they think, oh, God, LMH, she's on another one of these storytelling things. I go, no. I want you, by putting your hands over your eyes, to actually close your eyes and think about that future. Think about what the outcome looks like. Because only then, when you free up your brain to visualize what it looks like, will you start your logical brain going, okay, what do I have to do to get there? But sometimes we forget that. We write down what the goal or the outcome is, and then we do the 10 steps to get there, and all the metrics and measure. Of course, you do all do this, don't you? You do break your tasks down, and then you put your milestones and your metrics. And we all do that because we're all very disciplined. But the bit that we missed out on was actually visualising what that outcome looks like in a sort of a creative or a whole consciousness back of mind way. And anyone who's decided that they're going to be a parent imminently, this happens to, instinctively this happens to you. Hopefully for most of you it's a positive vision that you have when you close your eyes and you go, what is being a parent going to look like? Oh, it's going to be magic and light.
I think it all depends when you do it.
Well, if you do it the second time round, the vision is quite different. But the reason I want to
imagine the fort.
Yeah, that example with you though is if you think about becoming a parent and having a baby, how many of you have found that all of a sudden you notice all these other pregnant people in the street? Like more than ever before. Well, there aren't any more pregnant people in the street, I don't think. But because you took that thought about being pregnant and you stuck it somewhere in your subconscious, you're now open to the possibility of seeing pregnant people. Not just, she's had a few too many pies, but no, that's a pregnant person. And I know that because I'm looking to be that pregnant person, right? And so you start seeing it. And I think that's entirely relevant in the business context when you think about vision and purpose and goal setting, is if you visualize what it looks like, all of a sudden you'll start finding all these weird things happen around you that are related to you, getting to that place. So I think it's quite crucial.
I'm now wondering how many people here in the audience will sit later in their car when they leave. And before they go first like let's see where I'm going.
I hope they don't do that while they're driving.
No.
Otherwise, you
That's
have a big issue.
Yeah.
But if you look at you're now, how long are you in Belgium right now?
How long have I been here?
Yeah,
I've been here 10 months.
10 months. If you look at the management style in Belgium, because we can talk about a lot about management styles, and companies are changing. If you look at management styles specifically in Belgium, then what are the lessons that you think all the managers of all these accountancy firms should take?
From the global context. Belief, really important. Belief. I think the art of what's possible, you need to get into that real quick. I think keep a hold of the authenticity and the honesty. I think the Belgian, I relate to it a bit because it's a very Kiwi, New Zealand thing to be very authentic. Diverse thinking, really important. And I don't just say that because I come from a part of the world where women basically run the show. But, diverse thinking is important. If you're not sitting there going, in my leadership group, where are the views that I'm missing that don't get a voice? Because when I look around my leadership group, these people all kind of look the same. And I know it's simplistic for me to say, start with, do they look like you or do they look like me?
We look the same. Yeah.
Actually, today you've just totally blown it for me. But diverse thinking. Challenge yourself. Where are the people who don't think like me? Because how can I then be sure that this leadership group is getting the benefit of all those thoughts? But keep the authenticity, keep the honesty. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Oh, problem for us.
Yeah. Like business has got to still bring some joy, yeah? Like, otherwise, why are we doing it? Business has got to bring some joy. Keep it human, keep it real. Get really focused when you say, what is it that the management of businesses, thinking about how is it that our business can evolve and be thinking about things tomorrow that we don't even know. Okay, this is getting a bit tricky now. I'm getting a bit esoteric. Someone once told me that you should be thinking about the next thing, not when you've got to a point here, because if you start thinking about it then, you're already pretty much going to go here. And the discipline is when you're here and you're still on the growth, that's when you have to stop and start, almost say to your group, right, let's assume that in a period of time that this is all not working so swimmingly anymore. What's the next thing we should be focused on?
And per definition, all accountancy firms are there because if you put the sign accountancy firm on your wall, clients flock in. But the big issue is that they don't ask the price that they should ask. That's another discussion that we won't address this time. Maybe one last question I wanted to ask is, this is the best event of the year so far. We have
only the 28th of February.
But still, we have around 700 people, according to the police bet list. But there is a big event coming as well, the Fast Forward event of Silverfin, again after a long COVID break. What can we expect of that, unless they have to be very on their toes to meet our level of event?
Yeah, well, assuming that you're both coming along, that will of course help us.
Okay,
we've been bribed.
Yeah.
We've been bribed.
Okay, good. And I'm assuming a number of people in the room will be here, so I've got to be careful about what I promise, yeah? Because you'll all
and it's filmed, it's fine.
Oh, gosh. So you'll all come up to me at the event and go, you said that we were going to have unicorns and princesses at
I hear unicorns, I hear princesses.
No, and scoops. Okay, interesting. I can see there's a real preoccupation with scoops here. Is it just you or this crowd as well?
That's him.
It's him. Right, so what can you expect to Fast Forward? Well, you can expect some great speakers. Yeah? I am, if this is the speaker scale, and here's me, and as entertaining as I am, and I know I'm okay. But, I'm here, the quality of speakers, here. Okay, so I've just put all the pressure on the speakers at Fast Forward now. Okay, but that's fine. So you can expect great speakers. You can expect the Silverfin crowd showcasing some stuff we've been working on. I know. The expectations are always high at Silverfin. This is a Belgium. we are expected to deliver, yeah? And so we're back at Fast Forward, we're back in person, so we're going to have to talk about our product, we're going to have to talk about some stuff we're doing. There'll be great hospitality, because here's a definite thing you must know about a Kiwi running a Belgian business. If the food isn't good, there's trouble. Okay, so there's got to be good hospitality, I think. And I heard dancing. Is that right? No.
Dancing as
well? The team's going like this. I can't quite tell because the lights are shining on me. But I think maybe not dancing, no.
Okay. I'll remember dancing.
I'm so nervous about the tapas later on now, so...
But yeah, we'll see. We'll make it
fun.
up then. We'll
fun,
make it up.
Some fun stuff, a chance to connect again. You know, really important to bring, you know, our customers together. Really important to bring people from industry together. We talked about ecosystem earlier, so we've got partners there. We've got ecosystem going on. We've got some great sponsorship support as well. So that means we can afford it, because gone are the days when you can run huge events and just sort of pour a lot of money into that. So we're trying to be thrifty. That's another LMHism. We're being thrifty, but we want to deliver really good value. So
okay,
let's fast forward.
To it.
But then we'll meet again somewhere in May. It is, or
well,
May? When is it?
Somebody have to shout it now.
Yeah.
Oh, May 4th.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah.
there you go.
Right.
May. I was
4th.
almost
Yeah.
But we'll meet again.
We will.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and then, well, give her just an applause, eh?